Hello and thanks for staying with us. This is Political Platform on RAPA Radio and also on Africa Independent Television, AIT. My name is Amechi Anapwe. Now, the House of Representatives will this Thursday, that's today, vote on several bills seeking the amendment of the Nigerian Constitution, especially the one bordering on the establishment of state police. The National Assembly has identified the establishment of state police as an emergency that must be attended to within this week. We shall offer perspectives on this issue on the program today. Schools in some parts of the country now close early on Wednesdays as fears of bandit attacks spread. Now, the schools were hurriedly shut down following an attack by bandits on the Universal Basic Education, that's UBE, secondary and primary school in Iluke, Kogi State, and a threat of possible invasion at learning centers in Edo and Niger States. This is happening a few weeks after school pupils were abducted in Oyo, fueling national and international condemnation of the worsening security situation in Nigeria. At least 3 persons, including a vice principal, lost their lives when suspected bandits attacked the UBE Secondary Primary School in Iluke in Kababunu local government area of Kogi State. They were engaged by Nigerian troops, and these casualties were recorded in the process. We will offer perspectives as insinuation within government circles suggests that the worsening security situation may be politically motivated. We'll be joined by Obafemi George, a political scientist, and he will offer perspectives on the state of the nation as critics go hard on President Bola Tinubu, accusing him of non-performance. But my colleagues, as usual, are here with me, Uju Ejeye and Shola Jaisimia in the studio with me. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Amechi. Welcome our viewers, and Amechi, you see where it is getting to the point that schools have to be closed down. And you remember the other day there was such a scare around the Maraba area in Abuja here, and people were asked to come and take their children home. If we kill our education and the education of our children, then we have no future as a nation at all.
Okay, Shola.
Well, the good news is that those in authority thought it wise to take what we may call maybe late preemptive measures. Probably the shutdown of schools temporarily should not have come after the bandits attacked that particular area and killed the vice principal and 2 other persons. One of them is a kid. I strongly believe that the governor of Kogi State needs to try as much as possible. He has a security outfit which he works with. I can't remember the code which it's called. And the military are there in Lokoja. They are spread across different parts of Kogi State. So intelligence gathering must be key. And they must utilize it eventually to have preemptive measures. But one thing when the news
perhaps
came...
was it not the intelligence gathering that led to the leaked DSS memo suggesting possible attacks on schools around Edo State?
It's almost the same thing with Governor Okpeolu also taking action. So I just empathize, first of all, with the families of those who have passed, who have been killed. These things are preventable, but we just need to continue to try to team up as citizens, and for those in authority to realize that lives are sacred and they must do everything to make sure those lives are preserved.
Okay, let's take a listen to this soundbite from the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives and Chairman House Committee on Constitution Review, Benjamin Kalu, as he speaks to the urgency of the need for the creation of state police, which is what the members of the House of Representatives will vote on today.
And we said, as it is today, the structure which have been agreed to by the IGP and his team, national consensus has also arisen on it. The executive, they have bought into it. The governors have bought into it, that there is the need for state police. And the Constitution as it is, if allowed as it is, especially Section 214, and other consequential amendments in that particular constitution would not bet the state police that will guarantee what we'll be looking for in the space of security. These gentlemen here have been working hard to amend the constitution and to prioritize state police, especially now that we are faced with this difficulty around the country. So we are here to announce to Nigerians that hope is coming, that hope to have a better response time to incidents of crime is here, that we have decided, though tough, that by tomorrow we'll be voting on the Constitution, and in that we'll be prioritizing state police.
Fire brigade approach, almost like an emergency in the National Assembly. Senate leader also said and promised that the Senate will indeed prioritize voting to amend our constitution to create way for the establishment of state police. Now, citizens for years have been agitating for state police. Those in political offices felt that it wasn't necessary. There were foot draggings, there were opposition to it with allegations that governors who use it for political purposes, perhaps they were looking at the politics and not the issue of safety and security of our country. Now it appears to have dawned on everybody that we must establish state police. This fire brigade approach now, I've not even seen content of the bill. Nigerians have not seen them. For robust debate, we need to look at the provisions. We need to look at the safeguards. We look at the entire structure. But because it's fire brigade now, there's that tendency that we will rush to pass it without subjecting it to rigorous
to real perusal. But Amaechi, I do not think that Nigerians are not familiar with what the bill entails, except, of course, like you said, to ensure that there are safeguards, because every assembly that has been since the fourth assembly has had to deal with this issue of the state police. This state police is always listed in every constitution amendment debate, and at the end of the day, they will reject it and strike it out. So somehow we are familiar with at least a fairly good measure of what it is about. But of course, that does not deviate from the fact that we need to see in black and white what it is, and of course, know if there are enough safeguards to ensure that the abuses that people are afraid of, those who are opposed to it are afraid of, are well articulated, and that safeguards are put in place to ensure that they can be contained if they occur when it becomes law.
Shall I say a situation of let's just pass the bill and do possible amendments later, but as a matter of emergency, let's pass it now?
I think the onus is on the House of Representatives to continue to tell us more about what the content of the bill is. We also, as citizenry, media, we have a responsibility to ask the questions and unearth what the contents of the bill is, so that the Nigerian people can be aware of what are the modalities and all of that. Because we raised this issue a couple of days ago on the program, where we said, what are the key components? Mustafa Mohammed, who is not around today, told us that how will the state government run the state police? And he raised the pertinent point, which is the point that the issue of recruitment. And when I sat here, I was asking myself, will it be a case of recruiting persons because they are from that state? Picture a state like Lagos, very cosmopolitan. People from different parts of this country are resident in that state. Will it only be Yoruba people that will be part of the state police? So these are pertinent questions.
Perhaps we take a look at LASMA. The composition and structure of LASMA, it will give us a guide.
No, but it depends, because police is a huge and strong, it's a more pertinent issue than road traffic management. So I think strongly that we'll look at what they need to do. That our eyes must be on the ball with the House today. By the time they are passing, whatever they're passing, we look at the various clauses. Then we in the media begin to raise questions around those areas we think need to be looked at critically.
It was the late former National Publicity Secretary of the Afenifere, Yinka Odumakin, that was shouting before he passed on that if Nigeria does not restructure, then one day they will be hawking. Some people may be hawking restructuring
Understood.
on the streets and nobody will touch it. Now, these are steps we knew we needed to have taken in the past. Beyond establishment of state police, there are also the need to truly set up the structure of this country in such a way that we empower the component states to become centers of development, because you can achieve development of Nigeria from Abuja. All efforts with the centralization of power in Abuja in the name of a federal constitution that in actuality is a unitary one. We have seen where Nigeria has been how Nigeria has been left behind in order of developments across the world. Is it that now? I remember those that opposed state police from across the country. That opposition has died down, and they are even the ones
have seen the reality.
We need
Exactly.
it today.
They've seen that truly there is a need for a state police, at least a police that can, who is closer home and who understands home better and can take care of home effectively, security-wise. Now you know that NADECO and Afenifere have been agitating for what you call restructuring along fiscal federalism. Theirs have been that of fiscal federalism, so that every component part of this country can develop at their own pace, do their own thing, because you see, they recognize the fact that the different component parts of this country have different needs. States, ethnic nationalities have their peculiar needs, things that, you know, their people really desire. Maybe in the north, it could be maybe more schools, more primary schools, secondary schools. In the southwest, it could be more universities. But, you know, so giving that blanket developmental program has not really helped us. And that is why we really need this restructuring. If you develop at your own pace, nothing says that in the next 20, 30 years, we may not meet at a more advantageous position, instead of saying, look, everything has to be shared equally. What are you sharing equally? Do you know my peculiar needs? This man has maybe stomach ache. This one has a headache. The other man has, what was it that you suffered from the other time, Amechi?
And there is a generic
Malaria.
medicine for all of them. For all the symptoms.
Yes, and you're
Painkiller.
giving us generic medicines for all this. But they need specialist treatments. So I think that's what it's all about. We really need to take a look at that issue of restructuring. And President Bola Tinubu promised Nigerians that he would restructure. Even as an agitator, as an activist, he was one of those pushing for it. He promised in his campaigns. He has to do it. He must not leave office without doing it. But I'm even saying leave office is like extending it. He should do it now.
Well, it's clear that Nigeria is one of the federations that need restructuring. I keep going back to some of the things that occurred at the 2014 National Conference. The robust debates, the disagreements, whereby even the deliberations and sessions were suspended for almost 3 weeks due to huge disagreements between various delegates to that conference. But eventually they were able to come together to churn out a report after 5.5 months of talking and deliberating and disagreeing vehemently. So the implementation has always been the problem. President Jonathan too had an opportunity, like so many of us said, to quickly catch the low-hanging fruits and begin the process of implementation for a real federal structure, but he didn't do much until he left office when he lost the election. The man who has been on Jonathan's neck way back then, he's now in the Aso Rock Villa. This is the 3rd year now. We're going to the 4th year. We're already in the 4th year of his term. And some will say, you know, some kudos at least. You have said the state police, you put your men in
He
front.
has done local government autonomy, even though
seemingly
it's
so.
not implemented yet.
Not implemented, because, you know, with regards to the area of local government, we know what happens. The state where President Tinubu governed as, you know, as Lagos State governor. I know, we know what happened with the local government. The state government was on the neck of the local government in Lagos. Even issues of tenement rate, which the constitution of this country gives to local government, the Lagos State government under President Tinubu as governor then cornered that and made sure that they collected the monies, and giving the local governments pittance. So we need sincerity of purpose, not just cherry picking what is suitable to you to implement.
Now, the idea is that we won't one day rush, as we are doing with the establishment of state police, to restructure. Why don't we indeed sit down, talk over this thing, and cross the T's and dot the I's and get it done, rather than resorting to fire brigade, which has almost become a culture in Nigeria. Now, the worsening security situation is the catalyst that has forced everybody to start shouting, state police, state police. But beyond that, even within government circles, even from the president himself, and lately, from some clerics, Father Mbaka in Enugu, and just a few days ago, Governor Mondo Beholo, all sang one song, and that is that worsening security situation may be politically motivated. Let's take a listen.
Let them stop disturbing our president. Let them stop kidnapping. Kidnapping cannot give them villa. They should stop disturbing our president by using kidnappers to disturb us. The children that they have kidnapped, let them release them unconditionally. What is happening today is the hand of the oppositions. They had faith. Have they not faith? Is it by kidnapping children?
You are playing to the hand of agents, including my own enemies, who want to use insecurity to get rid of me. I'm a very stubborn politician. I just refuse to go. And I will campaign for my second term. I will work hard.
You have heard from the horse's mouth. They want to use insecurity to get at me. Governor Mondo Beholo was more specific, and he says the kidnappings across the country, perhaps making particular reference to the Oyo schools, were indeed encouraged by the opposition to get at the president. Now, this sounds like mere allegations in the sense that they didn't justify with proof nor evidence. I thought it's the opposition that indeed raises the allegation while government speaks with the fact. This also happened during the Jonathan administration. When Jonathan was in government, there were insinuations that the opposition, which is in power today, was fueling insecurity. Now the opposition is in power today and is accusing the opposition of doing the same.
If we have to follow the thinking of the opposition, and of course the rumors, then this kind of allegations, so that they use it to railroad Goodluck Jonathan out of office, then you could say, oh, is it the law of karma? But of course, we are not going to...
That's why the president is saying you can't do that with me.
Exactly. You see, but again, we are not going to play that political chess game with the lives of Nigerians, the precious lives of Nigerians, like those children who are still in captivity. Every day there's one report of killing or the other. Over the weekend, some kidnappings, killings in Kaduna, some in Zamfara. Every day that breaks, there's more sad news. The one from Kogi, and then we're here trying to train all these sorts or whatever.
Close to election. Record under Jonathan, it heightened close to election.
Yes.
And now under Tinubu, it has also heightened close to election.
Yes, I know, but you see, for me, whether it is politically motivated or not, whether it's aimed at reloading the current president out of office, like what happened to Jonathan, according to those allegations. The point I'm trying to make is that this government should stop the talk and get on with the action. Nigerian lives must be secure. They must do whatever. If your enemies are using a strategy against you, then defeat them. You can't just keep giving us the same excuses. And then Nigerians are paying for whatever chess game politicians are trying to play. That's my point. Nigerians' lives must not be used for that. Let them get on and provide the security that they are constitutionally mandated to do for citizens of this country.
The Constitution tells us clearly that the security and welfare of the people is in the hands of those elected. The President on May 29, 2023, he took an oath and he said, I will preserve and protect you. So bringing politics in, it could be, but the fact is that President Tinubu pledged that he will secure us. Some of the key questions we ask when we have this security lapses, killings, and all of that. Amaechi, you always talk about it. Who have you sacked in the security sector? Which commissioner of police has been asked to go on indefinite leave or administrative leave like the Americans do when some of these things happen? When people get to places and shootings happen, they'll just take the sheriff or the commissioner of police, as it is in New York and all of that, please leave the office for a while, let someone step in. So when you find a scenario like that where those who are given the responsibility of securing us, people die, people are kidnapped, and they are still in the office, then that raises a question. Until we start doing that, I mean the political leadership, start tasking those in authority who are security operatives, DSS, Civil Defense Commander in a state, Director of DSS, until they start taking such action, then we'll...
Like Pastor Deboye said recently.
Yes.
That within 90 days, if they don't come up with answers, they should resign. Or is it that it should have been that the president should fire them?
That's the point we're making, which you have always said. So until we have that scenario, then people will be very, very dead serious with the job they have been assigned to do. You've taken the responsibility. You said, I want to join the security services. We clothe you. We buy this for you. We give you free house and all of that. So get ready to get the job done. And if you can't get the job done, you may just step out. They call those of us who are in uniform bloody civilians. Yes, we are civilians. So we subscribed and gave all our rights of preservation to you. Please secure us. The president has a lot of work to do. We pray for him, and we believe that he will be able to get this job done and shouldn't talk too much politics on it.
Amaechi, I think, or rather, I'm beginning to think that this thing goes beyond all the sack. Look at the many times we have relieved our security chiefs of their positions, yet nothing has improved. I think that in a way we should look at the system, and like I would always say, the moles within the system. I think it is a systemic thing that if you put even the best of our security brains, we may not quite get the result that we desire. Okay. I do not think that is simply the failure of the security.
It goes beyond that.
Let us look beyond that. Let us look beyond that and think out of that cocoon that we've been thinking.
Well, Uju and Shola have appeared to have hit the nail directly on the head. Perhaps not just all about SAC, but fundamental changes, radical changes in our security architecture. And we called for establishment of state police, and the government is doing it. So to that extent, kudos. But we felt it could have come earlier. And now when the Jonathan administration then, just before the 2015 presidential election, raised this allegation of political opponents, opposition behind this worsening insecurity, I raised some pertinent issues. One of them, I said, yes, it's possible that it's happening, but you are the commander-in-chief. You control the intelligence agencies, the DSS, the NIA, the Defense Intelligence, Army Intelligence, Naval, all of them, they report to you. They're active. You control all the command security architectures. The police, the civil defense, the different services of the military, the immigration, they all report to you. You have the wherewithal, and you are in a position to identify those that are behind this insecurity. Arrest them and prosecute them. That is what we should be hearing. I've arrested some, I'm prosecuting them. Not mere allegation. By the time you start spreading allegation as government, what do you expect the opposition to do? Anyway, let's take a break. When we come back, again, our guest, Obafemi George, will speak on the state of the nation, especially the performance of President Bola Tinubu. Do stay with us.
They say votes no dey count, but every election they won't buy. e mean say your vote matter. No let anybody bobo you say your voice no important.
If you never register, now na the time. Oya, waka go any INEC registration center within near you, or make you go our ogbonge portal for cvr.inecnigeria.org.
Who gets sense no dey buy handkerchief for boutique o. Shine your eye wella because now who get PVC fit vote. Registration dey close on Friday, 10th of July 2026. Oya o, make una go register sharp sharp.
This message is brought to you by the Independent National Electoral Commission with support from the European Union. INEC, making your vote count, consolidating our democracy.
Get ready for a bold new chapter in political discourse. The conversations that matter most are stepping into the spotlight like never before. Political Platform, the hard-hitting, no-holds-barred program you have trusted on Ray Power Radio is making a powerful move to television. Tune in to Africa Independent Television, AIT, as Political Platform debuts on your screen, bringing deeper analysis, sharper debates, and the voices shaping our nation's future right into your screens. From policy and politics breakdowns to real-time discussions with key stakeholders, this is more than a program. It is where opinions are tested, truths are uncovered, and the people's voice is heard. Join seasoned hosts and expert guests as they tackle the issues that define our democracy. No filters, no distractions, just real talk. Political Platform, now on AIT, 9 to 10 a.m. every weekday. Stay informed, stay engaged, be part of the conversation.
Thank you so much for staying with us. Our guest is here with us, Obafemi George, a political scientist. And when I say fellow political scientists, I get excited. Thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. Good morning once again.
Okay, Mr. George, thank you for coming on the program. Let's start with the last issue we spoke about. We had the president in that clip saying, look, all of this insecurity is political, and he pointed in the direction of the political opposition. What's your reaction to that?
It's not impossible. If you've been around politics in Nigeria for a while, you would know how desperate politicians can get at times just to get to power. They can do and undo. So I wouldn't completely say, it's true or it's not true, but I can tell you that it is not impossible. However, for me, I think it's also good that we dissect this issue not just from the standpoint of our political lineage or our political ideology, but we should dissect it as Nigerians. Because I say to people, and I counsel especially the youth, that listen, at the end of the day, presidents will come and go. Political parties will come and go. Nigeria remains the same.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, I was on a show yesterday, and I was telling my host, I said, listen, President Tinubu is 74 years old. Atiku Abubakar is 80 years old. Peter Obi is 65 years old. I said, I pray for long life for all of them, but in 50 years' time, none of them will be alive.
50 is even too magnanimous.
But I said, you, the young ones in your 20s, you will still be alive. So you will be the ones that will be living in the kind of Nigeria we have all created. So, yes, we have very serious security issues. I mean, all of us, every day we see that it stares us in the face. But I said, let's still remember that there's a common denominator. We are all Nigerians. And that we've seen countries that have their own kind of insecurity that is even worse than ours. It's not terrorism, but I mean, in a different form, worse than Nigerians, even great nations like United States and what have you. I said, but the citizens know where to draw the line in the sand. They know where to stop being a Democrat or being a Republican. Exactly. They know when to say, you know what, God bless America.
Is it the time we have found ourselves now?
This is a challenge to our patriotism. And that's why all of us need to rally. It doesn't matter who is occupying that seat at Aso Rock. We're not rallying around the man. We are rallying around that office. Because whatever happens, whatever he does right or wrong, has consequences on our future 10 years from now when he would have stopped to be president.
But would you say that that office has given Nigerians enough reason to have that level of sense of patriotism? You talked about America. I mean, you know the kind of benefits that Americans enjoy. I mean, look at, because of one citizen, America had to fly one of their warplanes, send some of their best servicemen to come and rescue one citizen.
In Sokoto?
In Sokoto,
Yes.
here in Nigeria.
Yes.
And here in Nigeria, between here and Nyanya and Maraba, Abuja here, citizens will be in trouble and there will be nobody to rescue them. You talk in terms of social welfare. America has a lot of safety nets.
Yes.
Now, that of course inspires patriotism in the
Yes.
citizen.
Yes.
Do Nigerians have a reason to be that committed, apart from a natural commitment to say, look, this is our land, let us just do it?
Thank you very much, Ma, for that question. We copied America's democracy, the presidential system of government. But unfortunately, when the military copied it for us, they did not copy the security architecture that protects that democracy.
Absolutely.
So it's like buying a car and leaving the engine behind at the showroom. And you are proud that you've bought a car. The car will not work. Because what will make the car work, you left it behind. So we copied America's presidential system of government, but the key things that makes that democracy function, we left it behind. And I can sit here and tell you authoritatively, with all sense of responsibility, that this is the first government. The first government, and I will give you statistics to back it up. This is the first government since 1999 that is putting things in place that looks like what makes American democracy work. Number one, I visit America a lot. I partly live in Atlanta. In America, you have the federal police, you have state police, you have county police.
Multi-level.
That's why America is secured. And you and I will agree that this is the first time that a president is putting his mouth where his money is, or putting his money where his mouth, whichever way you spin it, and say, let us have a state police. I was told that, I don't know if it's true, that one of the reasons why he let go of Egbetokun was because his body language was not in support of creating state police. And that when Disu came in, his number one KPI was give Nigeria state police. And that was
one of his first action was to submit
a 75-page document for the structure of state police. So
right from where he was in Lagos,
we should give the president that benefit of that. That he's taking steps to find permanent solution to our insecurity problem. Because let me tell you why state police, I believe it's a game changer. Currently, if assuming you are from Abia State, you join the Nigerian police, you are trained at Ikeja police training camp, then they post you to Sokoto. You get to Sokoto, you don't speak Hausa, you are not a Muslim, you don't understand it and policing thrives on local intelligence. So even if you import CIA to Nigeria, they still need locals to give them intelligence. So that's why one of the policies has not been working. If you look at places where soldiers have been able to rescue people, it's because vigilantes volunteered intelligence. The locals volunteered intelligence. The incident in Mowe Bafo last week, where abductees were rescued, it was locals that volunteered intelligence that put a call through. That was why they were able to be saved. And this is what state police do, because when you create state police and you employ the locals as a policeman, its motivation is not just salary.
I agree with you that the president.
Its motivation is because he's from that place and he wants to protect that place.
I agree with you that the president deserves commendation for taking these steps towards establishment of state police. And I also agree with you that we must rally around the government at this point in time. We are doing a hashtag Unite Against Terror. Perfect. But cast your mind back to prior to 2015. This president, then an opposition leader, quoted in an ex-comment, then Twitter, the buck stops at the table of the president. He was part of protests that called for resignation of President Goodluck Jonathan over worsening insecurity. He didn't, apparently, rally around the president then. Now, how does he expect Nigerians to today rally against him, against worsening insecurity?
Thank you. Judge a man by what he's doing. Judge a man by his precedent. Since this man came into power, the reason why I believe Nigerians should support him, and like I said earlier, is because he's putting in place permanent solutions to temporary problems. One of the major causes of insecurity is also poverty, regional poverty. Because when you see the picture of those bandits, most of them are teenagers, 18, 19, 20, 21. How did they become bandits? These were illiterates we refused to send to school 15 years ago. I'm going somewhere. Now, which means that if today we don't deal with poverty, we don't deal with illiteracy, we probably might sit down again like this 10, 15 years time and be discussing insecurity at a higher dimension.
Absolutely.
God forbid.
God forbid. But God forbid, presidents forbid. And look at what is happening in the educational sector, especially in the north. And I'll go to data. I'm sure you're all familiar with the UNICEF report that says Nigeria has almost 20 million children out of school. Because there's a linkage between out of school and insecurity. Now, that report says 66% of that figure are in Northwest and Northeast, which are the two breeding grounds for banditry and kidnapping in Nigeria.
And terrorism.
Now, if you go further, if you interrogate that data further, that data says that 10.4 million are between the ages of 4 and 10 primary school going age. The remaining 8-something million are between the ages of 10 and 14 secondary school going age. Now, you and I know that constitutionally, it is the responsibility of the local government to provide primary school education. It is the responsibility of the state government to provide secondary education.
Yeah.
Now, what has this government done? Prior to 2023, the complaint from states has been, we don't have money to fund education. And true, because 26 states were borrowing to even pay salary. So how can they even invest in education?
Because they are not being productive.
Now, but from 2023, when this president came in, April 2023, a month before he came in, what FARC shared was 743 billion among the three states. By late last year, same FARC shared almost 2 trillion. Now, how has that translated into education? How would that affect insecurity in the future? I'll give an example of Kano, which is the most popular state in Northwest. This year, since 2023, as a matter of fact, 2024, Kano budgeted 29% of its budget for education. 2025, 31%. 2026, 30%, over 400 billion. What they've never done in the history of Kano. Why? Because a president came, put in place good revenue generation stream. Now states can fund education. I learned that Kano State have employed 18,000 new teachers. Because northern governors have now realized that, wait a minute, let's stop playing politics with this thing. If we don't deal with the roots, it's going to wipe out the region entirely. And that's why they invest in education, simply because a president has made funds available. And that's why I'm saying that if we place everything he's doing vis-a-vis that challenge, if we're going to be objective, we will give him kudos that he's making unpopular decisions, but needed. Which, I say, unfortunately, those kind of investment, they are not campaign rhetorics. Because when you invest in education, you don't see the fruit in 2027. Because like they taught us in sociology and other political science, that it takes 18 years to raise a responsible citizen. It also takes 18 years to produce an irresponsible citizen as a bandit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what he's doing today, you won't see the impact until another president comes in 2037, 2038, and he will take the credit for it. So we need to cut him that slack. And like I said, we need to rally around that office. You know, I was watching you before I came in, and you were discussing, saying that, he was one of those people that championed restructuring,
of course,
regional government.
With NADECO and with
NADECO,
partly with Afenifere.
And all of that. And I tell people that it's unfortunate that, out there today, it's what you see most is just negative news. Restructuring is being carried out by this president. Ask me how. Right now, as we speak, all the 6 geopolitical zones have their own economic development zones. You have Northeast Development Commission, you have Southwest Development Commission. You saw on the news on Tuesday when the MD of South Development Commission was being grilled by Southeast senators at the Senate. Now, zones are taking ownership. That is restructuring. That's restructuring through the back door.
And we're told that the money they have in their treasury is about 16 billion.
16 billion.
So is that the 16 billion that will enable them achieve development?
It's a starting point. That is a step in the right direction. If we've been doing that for the past 20 years, don't you think that all the zones would have developed? So let's give the man credit for what he's doing. But you see, no, I say to people that let us look at the laws of nature. I'm 6 feet tall. I'm 52 years old. I didn't become 6 feet in 1 year. I grew. I didn't become 52 years in a day. I grew. Nations also grow. It takes time for economy to grow. It takes time for the educational system to grow. There's no nation that has grown in 36 months. It is impossible. But when you see a president who is putting in place solid foundations that are irreversible, I think it is commendable.
But with the level of hardship in the country and what Nigerians are going through on a daily basis, almost a strangulation point, don't you think that there should have been safety nets and that some of these things should have been done in measures so that by the time the fruits of whatever he's doing begin to manifest, the Nigerians that he's doing it for will still be around to enjoy it? And they won't have been, you know what I mean?
I understand what you're saying. Three decisions that have brought us to where we are today. Removal of fuel subsidy, floating of the Naira. Let's even leave it at those two decisions. Now, are they wrong decisions? We all know what the answer is. IMF released the report, about 3 days ago. And they said, basically, those two decisions are what are set in motion, an irreversible economic trajectory.
They also warned against continuous borrowing, pointing at the 5 billion from UAE Bank.
So I ask you, have you seen a nation that did not borrow to fund infrastructure? The same IMF gave a bandwidth that a nation must not exceed 55% in terms of debt to GDP ratio. That is the red line.
Threshold.
That once you cross 55% debt to GDP ratio, then you are in trouble. So the question is, what is the debt to GDP ratio of Nigeria today with this level of borrowing? 32.3%.
I don't know whether you saw Peter Obi's recent comments on X. He says the bulk of this money borrowed cannot be accounted for. There's only about 10% that went into capital projects.
So, you know, what is being said is not as important as who is saying it. And whether a data is subjective, objective, it depends on who is saying it. So if Peter Obi is the one saying it, I can already tell you that is a subjective opinion. It is not objective.
Why? Why do you say that?
Because an opposition party wants to be president. So it is in interest to say things that is contrary to the president.
No, but Nigerians
do you have an accurate?
No, I don't share his view. I would rather share the view of like a World Bank. I would rather share the view of S&P. S&P is one of the top 3 rating agencies in the entire world. They are non-partisan. They don't care about your political party. Their opinion is straight and direct. And S&P released a report on Nigeria May 15th last month.
Should we not be sharing the position of the Nigerian government on this? Because part of their allegations against them is that they have not been transparent. They've not been forthcoming with these figures. Budget performance for the last 3 years. They've not been releasing the quarterly performance reports.
Is subjective. So that's why I'm making reference to an objective, independent, international opinion.
But
S&P says that what President Tinubu has done with this economy, that number 1, the removal of fuel subsidy. Number 2, foreign exchange transparency. Okay? Now, and they warned us that except we will stay on this trajectory, that if we don't, the gains will be reversed. That's what S&P said. That's not my opinion. That's not the ruling party. That's not an opposition party. So I would rather go with such opinion. And they actually did say that because of this policy.
But S&P is a foreign private interest.
It's not a foreign private interest.
It's a private entity.
S&P is an international recognized
rating
agency.
But it's private.
You need such an independent opinion, because you see, if you and I keep talking, it will be pro APC, anti APC, pro-obedient, anti-obedient.
So, Mr.
So we'll keep going back and forth.
So, Mr. George, you're in the studio now. You're giving kudos to the administration for its policies. You say they're on the right track. We've pointed at international rating organizations and the Bretton Woods institutions. When you get outside the studio, I'm sure there are not a few who will call you and say, Ross, can you, using colloquial, can you roger me 50,000 there? These are people who before, they never walked up to you or made such phone calls to you. How would you assure such people that, look, things will get better?
Thank you. All of us live in Nigeria. Whether you are at the bottom of the pyramid, you are middle income, whether you're a seasoned, successful journalist like all of you, or you're an industrialist, everybody is feeling the pinch. Don't get it twisted. All of us are feeling this. Now, my counsel is that I live by a maxim that says, pay now or play later. Play now or pay later. Whichever way you are going to pay. And the earlier you pay, the lesser the price, and the earlier you begin to play. Where we are today as a nation is because some decisions that were meant to have been taken 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years ago. I'm not even referring to Jonathan's period. We did not make those decisions. Especially this fuel subsidy issue. If you remember, subsidy was actually created by President Obasanjo in 1977, 1978. Decree 33. Yeah. Price Regulatory Act of 1977. Because why? The oil boom was beginning to disappear, and the price of fuel was beginning to go up from 9 kobo per liter to 15 kobo per liter. And he felt, you know what, let's peg it and see how we can subsidize temporarily while we ramp up capacity for local production. And that's why it was Obasanjo that built Warri Refinery and Kaduna Refinery. But by the time he was leaving in 1979, subsidy was less than 10%. But typical of Nigeria, when politicians came, corruption came within 1979. And it kept growing and it became a monster. And every administration knew that subsidy was meant to be removed. But you know why all of them didn't do it? Because they knew that it's an unpopular decision. That any leader who is going to be courageous to remove it, he will pay with some political equity.
Especially if the opposition latches on it.
That's why nobody was
we saw in 2014.
And that's why nobody was able to do it. So, and people coming to say, Jonathan wanted to do it, and President Tinubu was one of those that championed against it. I say, excuse me, if you sit on that chair, the buck stops on your table.
So the president saw the light of day.
Your decision is your decision. Okay. So this president came in, and the first 10 minutes of being president, he said, you know what, subsidy has to go, because you see, it's not a policy out of time.
There were no shock absorbers for the citizens. That's the point, because citizens are out there suffering. Nothing was put in place as to cushion the effects.
So we're actually out of time, but I wanted you to respond, because you've not really answered my question. If Tinubu did not rally around Jonathan then, why must Nigerians rally around him? In 30 seconds, please.
Because he has done what Jonathan did not do. Indirectly, through the back door, he has rejigged the tax system that is not beneficial to all the states and local government, number one. Number two, he has created economic development zone for all the regions, number two. Number three, it is visible that he's going to create the state police, which is one of the things that we have needed the most for the past 40 years. And for him to be bold enough to be pushing the bill, Nigeria needs to rally around him and believe in him that, yes, this man has the courage to do what preceding government never did. Number four, like I said, he is the one that copied American system of security architecture. He is the first president who has not created the Office of Homeland Security, which is typical and similar to what you are in the United States. So people should look at what he is doing and believe that this man is taking us somewhere.
Okay, somewhere to the glory land, to the promised land, we believe. We have to thank you so much, Obafemi George.
My pleasure.
For giving us your time.
Thank you.
We can have the mails now.
Yes. The first one is from Ugochukwu Godwin, who sent it in from Lagos, and it says, the EFCC chairman says that some governorship aspirants spent about 30 billion naira before getting the tickets of their party. This is why after they win an election, they neglect the people and fleece the state resources to recoup their money. A whopping 30 billion naira? What business were they doing to amass such wealth? Is it a loan from banks? This has been re-echoed by Senator Dixon, who says they gave their tickets to those who have the financial muscle to carry out their campaigns. We now run a complete financial and transactional political system. No party is spared. EFCC should not stop at this revelation. Invite these politicians and trail how they made much money. Good people are not contesting because of the amount of money involved. Save our democracy. Omolayo John sent this in from Orozo in Abuja. It is well with the Nigerian military for safeguarding our country from internal insurrection and external aggression. We should employ the same tactics, strategy, and rules of engagement used to rescue the former Prime Minister's family, to rescue Leah Sharibu and the children of the poor masses that are languishing in the den of kidnappers. God bless Nigeria.
Okay, we have this from Ben Ofiku from Abuja, Carol. He writes, I want to humbly ask your number one award-winning broadcast station to help the Nigerian nation by lending your widely listened to station that there should be a mandatory drug test for those that will be recruited into the highly anticipated state police. Also, educational and neighborhood background check is another important thing to be done to get anybody that will be recruited into the anticipated state police. We report great confidence on your station to help Nigeria to sound this trumpet loud and clear until our government hears and adopts these two very important measures in the process of recruiting people into the future state police.
Thank you so much for the mails. These are the kind of conversations we should be having, the structure of the state police, the establishment, the recruitment, the safeguards to insulate it from political control and all that. But perhaps when we come back tomorrow, we'll tell you the outcome of the actions the House of Representatives will take today on it. The much we can take on our program today. Again, thanks to our guests, Obafemi George, Shola Jasimi, my colleagues, and Uju Eje. From all of us here, have a good time. My name is Amechi Anakwe.
Every day, across forests, highways, towns, and villages, brave men and women stand watch so that Nigeria can sleep. They leave their families behind, confront danger head-on, and make sacrifices many of us will never see. Yet, the enemies of our nation continue their assault. They target our children. They murder innocent citizens. They force families from their homes. They turn thriving communities into places of fear and uncertainty. Their goal is simple: to break our spirit, divide our people, and steal the future of our nation. But Nigeria is stronger than terror. As we demand greater accountability, stronger security measures, and more effective action from those entrusted with our safety, we must also play our part. Support our security forces. Salute their gallantry. Stand with those who stand for us. If you see something, say something. Let us be our brother's keeper. We must never surrender to fear, despair, or hopelessness. This is not the time for division, not by tribe, not by religion, not by region, not by political party. Because terror recognizes no ethnicity, no faith, and no ideology. Its enemy is all of us. And together, united as one people, we can defeat it. For our children, for our communities, for our future, for Nigeria. Join the movement. Stand for our country. Stand for one another. #Unite against terror.